God, I just can't stand it. I don't know what to do anymore. I think I hate Porsche. They're just so good at their job. They take a dirty word hybrid, they take my favorite thing ever, a 911, they put them together, and I'm supposed to hate it. I'm supposed to not like it, but this is a lunatic. This is my kind of car, and I did not expect it for 1 second. The 911 GTS, it is the first hybrid 911. I know it's going to scare a bunch of you away, but bear with me. It is not really that much of a hybrid. Here's the quick rundown of the tech. It's a 3.6 liter single turbo flat six with an MGU, a motor generator unit in the turbo, and it has a sort of electric motor where the PDK usually goes, where the dual clutches go. It's a clever integration of hybrid technology, and it's also a clever integration into the 911, because when you drive this, it pretty much acts like a gas 911. So where is the sacrilege in this vehicle? Well, it opened the trunk very early for me because it was eager to show it. The battery is right in here. It's a tiny little battery pack, about 2 kilowatt hours, and it's really meant to just spool the turbo, which is in the back. Right around this area. It's one big single, just like another 911 we all know and love, the 930. It's a big old honker. It's right here, intake's up here, and it's good for 533 horsepower. The MGU is the critical bit of the turbo. It is too big to spin on its own. It needs the MGU to work. Here's an interesting bit of tech. It does not have a wastegate. It doesn't use exhaust gas to hold itself back. Instead, it's the electric motor. And here's the other thing. The advantage of the system is that it now eliminates the belt drive because of the hybrid system. So actually the engine's 110 millimeters lower. That is massively lower. That is a huge change in the center of gravity of the vehicle. And there's no more belt drive. So if you look at this engine, it looks weird and naked because there's no belt running off of it. It's really quite strange. What I like here, it's not your typical integration of hybrid technology. It's used in the name of performance. It's used in the name of lowering the engine, making it more responsive, making it more powerful. And I can't help but like that, even though it says hybrid, and I hate that. You might ask, what does that change inside of a 911? Well, literally almost nothing. This feels like a Carrera S, basically. What you don't notice immediately is the little power meter and the gauge cluster and what each drive mode does. So the hybrid system is pretty self-managing. When you're in normal mode, it sort of uses more of itself to propel the car, get better fuel economy. You get into sport mode, it uses a little bit more, a little less power, like a little less recovery. It's kind of this, just a bit more. Where it gets crazy is in Sport Plus. Sport Plus is when it starts really charging up the battery and using it all for power, and you feel a real difference in the response, and you start hearing the thing under braking spool the turbo under downshifts to get that instant crack of power. Functionally, you don't notice it. Each drive mode, there's no separate hybrid, there's no buttons for the thing, there's no setting it for more regen or anything. It's as painless as it gets in here. And of course, last bit of the housekeeping, you can still get your variety of cabriolet, coupe, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, all that stuff. This is a GTS 2, doesn't have the lightweight package, doesn't have rear seats. This is 182 grand as tested. That's a whole discussion that I'm going to cover in the driving segment. This is an expensive car. I can't get past that. This is an expensive car. For almost 200 grand, you could get a lot of different things. But it is a 911, so it does drive excellently, as we will go do now, because I'm done and I'm bored with yapping outside of the car. Go drive it. I think the main question we need to answer, beyond any of the technological questions and all of these things, setting it up real quick, is $182,000 is tested. Is this really meaningfully better than a Carrera S or a Carrera T, or, you know, name your 911 variant. There's so many of them now and they all cost a lot of money. Is this car worth the extra scratch? Let me tell you, this car has a special character to it. Jesus. Oh my God. Oh, okay. All right, let's slow that train right down. That is 533 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, all from
Well, from two power sources, as you know. It's the little electric motor and a bunch from the 3.6 liter flat six. But I swear it feels more powerful than that. This feels like a 600 horsepower exercise easily, where the Carrera S and the lower ones always felt a little limited in the mid-range. Here's a 4,000 roll. Just lovely torque, and the way the speed climbs on the thing is alarming. It is so unbelievably fast. It has more power than a GT3 now, more power and torque than a 911 GT3. That's a 510 horsepower, 9,000 RPM flat six. And it's not that heavy for the world of modern sports cars at 34, 3,500-ish, depending on spec, and it's got a lot of power. The result is something that is very unexpected. This car drives, get this, like a 911. Okay, you might be saying, well, duh, yes, it's a 911, so it drives like a 911. What I mean is it drives like a classic 911. So Carrera T I just drove, that drove like a modern 911. Very good, very Boxster-ish, but still, you know, you get that little bit of rear engine fun. Carrera S is even more Boxster. It's even more mid-engine, more perfection. This drives like a 930 turbo if it were made today. It is a wild animal of a vehicle. It will catch you out with a slip, catch you out with a bit too much speed under brakes. It needs you to trail brake into turns. It needs you to put a little weight on the nose. Otherwise, it won't turn at all. You need to commit to the throttle once you get to it, because again, the nose will get light. It will stop turning. You need to drive this methodically, just like an old 911. You need to get it pointed to the exit, shoot right out of it. Use the brakes as a turning tool. You can't drive this mindlessly. And some of it does let you. The rear steer does intervene in the mid-corner, and it does help you along a bit, but the truth is you can get yourself in trouble with this car. And the thing is, I'm starting to realize, man, this thing loves to move around. Woo, okay, I like this one. I like this one a lot. This one knows how to party, dude. Woo, okay, all right, back to presenting. Right, okay, taking a moment. Let's breathe deep, I'm realizing that GTS is becoming its own thing within Porsche. It has its own vibe. I'm feeling a familiar feeling. I'm feeling this warmth and this sort of bear hug I got from the Cayman GTS 4.0. It's such a nice balance. It's not so alarming and tinny like an RS car or like a GT car is, where it's just lightweight, pure engagement, precision. This has some give to it. It moves. It wants to move on its tires, dance on its tires, utilize them a bit more than a GT car. Whereas you start moving around in a GT3, you're not having a good time. Carrera T and Carrera S don't move like this. They don't dance like this. I said 930 turbo because I was a Widowmaker. Maybe this is more of a PDK 996 GT2 is how I describe it, with the way this delivers power, the way it handles, the way it's unforgiving, the way it demands a good driver. Because there's a couple moments in there where if I don't drive properly, this will spit me off the road. There's an element of danger. It's something that money can't buy. It's the closer you are to death, the more alive you feel. That's kind of what the GTS is doing to me right now. And I don't think a GT3 has ever done that to me, RS or not. Those are just unflappable stability, grip. This dances. The thing is, everyone starts falling asleep at the mention of a hybrid. It's whatever, but the technology is quite cool. You do have a very light amount of electric assist in the gearbox. But what's most important is you have an MGU style turbo. Basically, for the non-nerds in the crowd, the turbo has an electric motor on it. So you get all these funny little quirks, and you get a really instant throttle response. Functionally, does it feel like a hybrid? Absolutely not. And that's what I like about it. This works basically as a better gasoline engine. It is, you put gas in it, you drive it around, there's a battery meter that you can turn off and not pay attention to for a day you own this car, and it will never change your life in any meaningful way. And this is all still 911 here, no special GTS accoutrement. It's just all stuff. You got the annoying left-hand start button, you got the new digital gauge cluster, which is still quite lovely. You know, it's quite a lovely thing to putt around at a cruise. It's got so much torque in the mid-range. It's so tractable. And then you start being able to feel the steering and how it builds up weight. And I think I said this about the Carrera T, about that having really nice steering. This is, again, another masterclass in steering from Porsche. It does the Porsche thing where the amount of grip matters. The amount of grip is how much weight you feel through the steering. And that's really important. You feel it light up. That's how I know what the car is doing. That's how I know that I can tame the beast, is because when I get on the throttle, the steering lightens. You can feel the car sort of give up and go straight. When I'm on the brakes digging into a turn, the steering's nice and heavy. It starts just telling me so much information about what I'm doing with the car in terms of weight transfer. God, and that brake pedal's so perfect. Oh, I can just feel when ABS is tickling at each front wheel. It's so lovely. But the powertrain is quite interesting because there's a surprising amount of character, there's a surprising amount of turbo noise, even with all that fake kind of, that's not exhaust noise, that's all piped in induction. I don't think it's a speaker, but I think it lacks some texture and depth in the sound. I think it could use a little more. But I do love, oh, it's so cool when you roll it, you just hear that turbo scramble into full boost. You hear the blow off when you let off. The car is actually relatively proud of its turbocharging versus other 911s. A lot of these cars actually hide the turbo. All right, let's try a launch control. I'm sure it's crazy. So simple, left foot on the brake, hard, right foot down. My God, it blows the tires off. Jesus. This has got some potency. Holy hell. Let's talk about a hard subject. For $182,000 as tested, this is not a cheap car. This is officially, yeah, this is almost to a GT3 money, just like Carrera S is, but this is a lot of money, and I'm feeling some things that are very un-Porsche-like. The first few minutes I was in this, I'm like, why are there so many rattles in the interior? That's very strange, and the PDK isn't as perfect as it usually is, and I think that's the integration with the electric motor and the gearbox. It's not the immediacy I'm used to. The upshifts are okay, but it's not the same kind of finger to synapse connection that I've always felt with PDK, where you pull the paddle, it just goes right up. And I think another thing is the Porsche fake noise is getting really loud. All that, that's all fakery. Because if I just turn the exhaust button off, that's the real sound, I think. It's a lot of money for something that's not a supercar. It's, God, it's approaching supercar money, isn't it? It is supercar money for this. And it is supercar performance, but is it supercar special? So the question to be answered, is this meaningfully worth more than a Carrera S or Carrera T? I've brought GT3 up in this conversation. Is this worth that? Is this its own thing now? Is the GTS officially more than just the fast version of the Carrera? Is it now its own story, its own sort of vibe? I think let's hop out and talk about it. Okay, let's take a breather because I just tinkled all over myself in excitement. This is an unexpectedly rowdy 911. Let's think about it for a second. $182,000 for this. That's $60,000 more than a base Carrera, about $30,000 more than a Carrera S, and it's about $40,000 cheaper than a 911 GT3. That's your option here. This is the powerful one. This is more powerful than a GT3, more powerful than a Carrera S, of course. But it's not quite as lightweight, not quite as track focused, not quite as precise. But what this is a big bear hug of a 911. It'll drift, it'll slide, it'll move around on you, and it won't kill you like it will in the GT3 unless you're really gangster like that. $182,000 is a lot of money for something that looks like this. It looks like a 911. It's not that special looking unless you have a really discerning eye. Whether that's worthwhile is really up to you. I hate to say that it's subjective because it drives like $182,000. It really drives like its price. Does it look and feel like its price? Sometimes maybe not. You could be buying something like a used R8, something a bit more compelling than this as far as supercars go and as far as an experience goes. But as far as a new 911 experience, I never bought into the fact that the GTS competed with the GT3 before, but now I do. This really feels like a GT3 competitor to me. It's an alternative. It's a different reality, a different path to it. Is it worth the money? I think that's really up to if you're a Porsche person, a Porsche nerd who cares about the PTS seatbelts and all that annoying garbage. Would I pay this? I don't know. I think I would go buy a Carrera T and happily laugh my way into a mountain road if it were me.